Welcome to episode 12 of TeflonStoic's hardcore journey through hardcore warcraft, learning about Stoic philosophy. Let's begin.
Stoicism. Pleasure, fame, and similar pursuits are indifference. Adiaphora. Neither good.
Can you do me a favor? I've prepared a lunch for Guard Parker, but he's out on patrol. He's a big, strong Stormwind.
I find my rather than to virtue, the only true good. 14.
Looking for something specific?
Tyrian, Xenophon. Biography.
Have a good one.
Uncertain. These are obscure or possibly fictional figures mentioned in a cryptic context with no clear historical record. Their identities remain uncertain, and they may have been included by Marcus Aurelius as symbolic or anecdotal references. 15. Acting in accordance with human nature. Stoicism. True satisfaction arises from living in harmony with human nature, which means acting rationally
I'm
and
going to go back
virtuously.
now to the forest.
Obstacles are predetermined by fate, but the ruling faculty, hegemonica, can always turn them to moral advantage. This is how Stoic determinism and moral freedom coexist. 16. Leaves. Literature. Homer, Iliad Vi, 147, 149. Famous simile expressing the fleeting, cyclical nature of human life.
Watch
It
out
is
for the
one of the
dragons
most
on the
poignant
side
and
here.
enduring similes in ancient literature, capturing the transience
They
and
will
beauty
kill
of
you.
life. A reflection that resonates deeply with Stoic meditations on impermanence and nature's impartial rhythms. 17. All these beings. Literature. Homer, Iliad Vi, 148. Continuation of the previous simile, where the lives of humans are compared to the leaves of trees. While individuals fall and vanish like autumn leaves, new life arises in spring. The image underscores nature's power of renewal, even as individual existence remains fragile and fleeting, a reminder of the larger cycles in which human life is embedded. Team. Serious and wise. Stoicism. The reference is to the Stoic sage, one who lives in complete harmony with reason and virtue. Marcus notes, with irony, that even the death of such a person may bring relief to others, not because of wrongdoing, but because moral excellence often makes people feel judged, even in silence. 19.
What can I do for
Living
you?
according to nature.
Light bless you. Thanks. I could really use the meal. Guarding Lakeshore from the orcs and gnolls is tough work.
Universal law that all
Before you go back to Darcy, can you bring me some flowers for me? You hail advent.
benefits from this recycling, it cannot be evil for the part. What is good for the whole must also be good, or at least not harmful for the individual. 20. Examine your own motives. Stoicism. In Stoic ethics, the intention, not the external action, is morally decisive. Since actions pertain to indifference, adiaphora, what matters is the use
Gotta
we
heal
make
that
of them.
guy.
Judging others and ourselves rightly means focusing on the internal being, whether it aligns with virtue and reason. Book 11. Authenticity and Self-Discipline. Giovanni Battista Piranesi, Teatro di Marcello. The Theater of Marcellus, a social space in decay, symbolizes the importance of relationships and self-discipline as valued by Marcus. 1. The properties of the rational soul. It sees itself, articulates itself, shapes itself into whatever it chooses, and gathers its own fruit, unlike plants or animals, whose fruits are harvested by others. It achieves its purpose wherever life ends.
Holy shit.
Unlike in dance, theater, or similar activities, where the entire action remains incomplete if interrupted, the rational soul fulfills its goal fully and without gaps, no matter where or when it is interrupted, so that it can truly say, I have what is mine. Moreover, the void surrounding the universe stretches toward the infinity of it ends with the periodic renewal of all things, and observes that those who come after us will see those before us. Anyone who even a modicum of intelligence has seen through the analogies that connect them all that has passed and all that is to come. Another property of the rational soul is to love one's neighbor, cherish truth and modesty, and honor nothing above itself, which is also a property of the soul. Thus, there is a difference between right reason and the reason of reason. You will be able to distinguish or a pancratium. Disdain a melodious voice down into its individual notes, and, taking each one separately, ask yourself whether it overwhelms you. You'll feel ashamed to admit it does. As for the dance, you can come to disdain it by breaking it down into its individual movements and poses. And the same short, except for virtual effects. Remember to immediately focus on the individual parts. Through this analysis, the same to life as a whole. 3. What a spectacle it is. The soul that shows itself ready to detach from the body, whether to be extinguished, scattered, or to endure. This must stem from the judgment, not from mere observation. Christians. Serious, capable of persuading others, and free from all theatricality. 4. I have done something for the good of the community. Therefore, I have achieved what is worthwhile. Keep this thought always close at hand. And how else can this be achieved except by grounding yourself in principles that relate on one hand to the nature of the universe, and on the other, to the specific constitution of humankind. Tragedies were introduced first, serving as reminders of events, and teaching that this is how things naturally unfold, and that what captivates us on the stage should not distress us on a larger
I haven't been
scale.
scanning.
For it becomes clear that this is the inevitable outcome of events, even for those who cry, "Ah, Pytharean." The authors of tragedies also offer useful insights. For instance, if I and my 2 sons have been overlooked by the gods, there is a reason for it. And again, do not grow angry with reality, and reap life like a ripe ear of grain, along with other similar expressions. After tragedy came old comedy, which employed a liberating frankness of speech and, through its direct language, usefully recalled people to simplicity of manner, qualities that Diogenes also drew upon for similar purposes. Now consider carefully what the middle comedy became, and finally, what goal the new comedy pursued, which gradually slipped into virtuosity. Even the poets of the middle and new comedy said something useful is well known. But to what end did the overarching purpose of this poetic and dramatic tradition aim? 7. How clear it is that no other condition of life is as well suited for the purpose.
Open fire!
When you find yourself in what is attached to cannot help but also be severed from the entire tree. Similarly, one of your fellows is also cut off from the whole community. Now, a branch is cut by another. Also cutting themselves off from the entire social life. Yet here lies the privilege Zeus has granted us. We have the ability to reconnect with others and once again contribute to the whole. However, as this separation happens repeatedly, the element that detaches becomes increasingly difficult to reintegrate into unity and restore to its original state.
Never leave a man back.
Fire!
No matter what the gardeners may say. Sharing the same tree.
Open fire!
The same principles.
Macro.
9. Whoever opposes you as you act according to right reason cannot divert you from doing what is good, nor should they turn you away from kindness toward them. On the contrary, you must remain steadfast in both, not only in sound judgment and action, but also in compassion for those who try to obstruct you or create difficulties. For becoming angry with them is itself a form of weakness, just as abandoning your task out of fear is. Both are deserters in equal measure. Who is by nature their kin and friend. 10. Know nature is inferior to art, for arts imitate nature. If this is true, then the most complete and all-encompassing nature cannot
Say
be
if art
inferior
doesn't
to any
imitate
skill or art.
nature, it's not art.
Every art produces lesser things for the sake of greater ones, and so does universal nature. This is where justice originates, and from justice spring the other virtues. For justice cannot be preserved if we are overly concerned with external things, too easily deceived, too quick to form judgments, or too ready to change them. 11. The things you pursue or avoid which disturb your peace do not move toward you. Rather, in a sense, it is you who move
Greetings.
toward them.
Go with honor, friend.
You have confirmed my fears, adventurer. The Murlocs are a threat we cannot ignore. Tell Marshal Dugan of Malachi and Rolf's deaths, and report to him that the Murlocs in Eastern Elwyn cannot be contained by our current troop presence. I know we don't have many troops to spare, but hopefully Dugan can find someone. Thanks a lot for the help, adventurer. Something in the forest must be making these animals.
13.
It's gonna be a hard quest, but I
Will
think I
someone
can do
despise
it.
me? That is their concern. As for me, I will make sure not to be caught doing or saying anything deserving of contempt. Will they hate me? That is their concern as well. For my part, I will remain kind and well-disposed toward everyone, and in particular, I will gently point out their mistake, not with an air of reproach, nor to display my tolerance, but with genuine goodwill, like the famous Foshin, assuming he was sincere. This should be our inner attitude. The gods must see a person who does not react with indignation or impatience to anything. After all, how can any harm come to you if you act according to your own nature? Embrace what is not fitting for your own person nature. Strive by every means to serve what is useful to the community. 14. They despise one another, and yet they seek to win each other's favor. While trying to outdo one another, they bow down to each other. 15. Rotten and false is the person who says, I intend to be frank with you. What are you doing, my friend? There's no need for such a thing. It should be evident on the
Charging.
resonating with the in the eyes of lovers to their beloved. A frank and honest person, in short, should be like someone who smells a goat. Others like it or not, they notice it as soon as they approach. Artificial frankness is a dagger. Nothing is more disgraceful than the friendship of a wolf, avoided above all else.
If I stay here,
An
I
honest,
can
frank, and benevolent person carries these
kill
qualities in
them as
their
they
eyes,
come.
and they do not go unnoticed. 16. To live life in the best possible way is a faculty inherent in the soul, provided we remain indifferent to things that are indifferent. And we will remain indifferent if we examine each of these things in their individual parts, and as a whole, without forgetting that none of them imposes an opinion on us, nor do they move toward us. They remain stationary. It is we who form judgments about them, and in a sense inscribe those judgments within ourselves, though it is possible both not to write them if they have been written in advance. Let us not assume that judgment will last only a short while, and then life will be over. Contrary to nature, it accords with your own nature and work, even if no good comes from it. Anyone capable of understanding is when someone is striving for their true good.
Where's that little
17. Consider where each thing comes from, what it is made of, that it will suffer no harm. 18. What is my relationship to them? And in another sense, I was born to lead them, as a ram lead the flock, or a bull the herd. But go further back. If atoms do not govern the universe, then it is nature that does. And if so, lower beings exist for the sake of higher ones, and higher beings exist for one another. Second point. What kind of people are they at the table, in bed, and in all other aspects of life? Above all, what necessities do they submit to because of their principles, and with what vanity do they fulfill them? Third point. If they act rightly, there is no reason to be ill-disposed toward them. If they do not act rightly, it is clear that they do so unwillingly and unknowingly. For every soul is deprived of truth and the ability to treat others according to their merit against its will. Hence their indignation when called unjust, ungrateful, greedy, or, in a word, guilty of wrongdoing toward others. Fourth point, you yourself commit many faults and are no different from them. Even if you avoid certain faults, you still have the tendency to commit them, whether out of cowardice, a desire for personal prestige, or some similarly ignoble motive. Fifth point, you cannot even be certain that they are wrong. Many things happen as a result of specific actions, and generally, one must gather much information before passing judgment on others with full understanding. Sixth point, when anger or bitterness becomes unbearable. Human life lasts but an instant, and then we all lie in the grave. Seventh point, it is not their actions that disturb us, since those actions reside in their guiding principles, but our opinions about them. Eliminate then and decisively abandon the judgment that their behavior is terrible, and your anger will vanish. How can you eliminate it? By recognizing that their behavior is not inherently shameful. If only what is shameful were evil, you too would inevitably commit of anything. Anger and pain we feel in response to such things harm us far more than the actions themselves that provoke our anger and sorrow.
That's very true.
Ninth point. Genuine kindness is invincible. If it is authentic kindness, without sarcasm or pretense.
Genuine kindness is
What
invincible.
can the most overbearing person do to you if you remain kind toward them? And when the occasion arises, gently admonish and calmly correct them even as they try to harm you. No, my child, our nature has a different purpose.
That's a good one.
You cannot harm me, but you, my child, harm yourself. And show them tactfully and in general terms how things truly are, that neither bees nor any animal destined by nature to live in groups behaves this way.
Rabbit.
Do not do this with irony or reproach, but with affection, free of resentment, and not as though teaching a lesson or seeking admiration from onlookers, but with the discretion of a private conversation, even if others are present. Remember these 9 fundamental rules as if they were gifts from the Muses, and finally begin to be a true human being while you are still alive. Just as you must avoid anger toward others, so too, with equal effort, you must guard against flattery. Both attitudes violate the social bond and lead to harm. In moments of anger, keep close at hand the thought that losing your temper is not manly, while patience and gentle forbearance are not only more humane, but also more worthy of a
Losing
man.
your
And
patience.
those who practice them possess
Certainly
strength,
not manly.
steady nerves,
There's the Lion's
true
Pride Inn.
masculinity,
My sister and I
unlike
once
those who
made
rage
this
and
out of
grow
a
impatient.
gingerbread house.
For the closer patience comes to impassivity, the closer it comes to power.
It was a fever dream.
And just as pain signifies weakness, so does anger. In both cases, the person is wounded and has given in. And if you wish, accept a 10th gift from Constantine, to believe
Need help?
that petty people can avoid making
This
mistakes.
news is troubling. Already our defenses are stretched thin, and losing Rolf and Malachi to those Murlocs put us in an even worse position. If things don't improve, there will be fighting in Goldshire by the week's end. For your shrewdness and valor, I have a marker here that is good for 1 piece of armor.
Disturbances of the guiding principle. And when you catch them in action,
I supply only the finest goods.
each time add this reflection. This thought is unnecessary. This one undermines the social bond. What you are about to say does not come from the depths of your heart. And consider it among the worst absurdities to speak words that do not arise from your innermost self. The 4th rebuke you must give yourself is this. This is a sign that the divine part within you is being overpowered and bowing down to the inferior mortal part, the body and its gross pleasures. 20. All the airy and fiery elements within you, though by nature they tend to rise upward, are nonetheless held firmly in place here within their compound, obeying the order of the universe.
Light bless you.
Similarly, all the earthy and liquid
Quest
elements
here, I
within
think
you,
I can
though
get.
inclined to sink downward, are nevertheless kept upright, holding a position contrary to their natural inclination. In this way, even the elements obey the whole. Once assigned to a specific position, they remain there until the signal for dissolution calls them away. Is it not then a grave matter that your intellectual faculty alone should resist and complain about its assigned place? Yet no coercive command is imposed on it, only what is in accordance with its own nature. And still, it refuses to comply, moving in the opposite direction. For the movements toward injustice, licentiousness, anger, sorrow, and fear are nothing but the movements of one who deserts their nature. And when the guiding principle is dissatisfied with events, it too abandons its post. For its constitution is designed for reverence and worship of the gods, no less than for justice. This piety is part of living in harmony with society, and indeed, it holds an even higher value than mere acts of justice. Whoever does not have a single unchanging purpose in life cannot remain consistent and true to themselves throughout their life. But this statement is incomplete unless you also specify what that purpose should be. For just as there is no universal agreement on what most people consider goods, only on certain specific goods, namely those that are common, so too must our purpose align with the common good and the welfare of society. Because whoever directs all their impulses toward this end will make all their actions consistent, and in this way they will always remain the same. 22. The country mouse and the city mouse, the latter's fright and hasty retreat. 23. Socrates called the principles of ordinary people, lemmiae, bogeymen to frighten children. 24. At their festivals, the Spartans would place shaded seats for foreigners, while they themselves sat wherever they could. 135. When Perdiccas invited him, Socrates explained why he would not go, to avoid the worst fate, meaning, to avoid receiving a favor I could not repay. 26. In the writings of the Epicureans, there was a reminder to constantly recall an ancient figure who acted according to virtue. 27. The Pythagoreans prescribed looking up at the sky at dawn, to remind oneself of those who always carry out their work according to the same laws and in the same way, of their order, their purity, and their nakedness. The stars have no veil. 28. Consider how Socrates appeared wrapped in a sheepskin after Xanthippe had taken his cloak. He said to his disciples, who, out of embarrassment, withdrew when they saw him dressed so. 29. In writing and reading, you cannot become a teacher until you have first been a student, even more so in life. 30. You were born a slave, you have no right to speak. 31. And my heart laughed. 32. They will slander virtue. 33. To seek a fig in winter is madness. So is it madness to seek a child when it is no longer granted.
I'm so glad I got that. So much
34.
more useful than what I
Epictetus
gave
used to
him.
say that when kissing your child, you should
Function
inwardly
time
add,
listing.
perhaps tomorrow you will die. But these are words of ill omen. Someone might object. No ill omen at all, Epictetus would reply. They merely point to a natural fact. Otherwise, even the harvesting of grain would be an ill omen.
I never thought the day would come when I'd leave the farm, but the fields are overrun with thieves, and it's far too dangerous for us here now. As soon as Farmer Furlbrow, poor old...
It was horrible.
Poor old Blanche.
36. No thief can steal your core ethical choice. These are the words of Epictetus. 37. One must find an art to regulate assent, he would say. And in the realm of impulses, always pay attention that they are with reservation, aligned with the common good, and proportionate to the value of the object. And one must absolutely refrain from both desire and aversion for anything that does not depend on us. 38. We do not strive for just any reward, he would say, but to be either fools or wise. 39. Socrates would say, what do you want? The soul of rational beings or irrational ones? Of rational beings. Rational beings of what kind?
Light be rough times, huh, adventurer? No matter where you turn, someone needs help, and my wife and I are no exception.
Because we already have.
Look at what has happened to this place. These lands were once occupied by good farm folk, but the damn thieves have driven them all off. Not me, though, but it seems some harvest watchers have taken over the fields. If you're up for the work, I'd like you to go out and kill 20 of them. Come back when you're done for your pay. If you finish up with the ones in my field, clear them from the neighboring fields as well.
That Verna was always such a sweet lass. We'll miss her here in Westfall. But between you and me, she's a city girl at heart, and Stormwind will suit her just fine. But enough gossip. Now we can make Westfall stew. Help me. That oak, the onions are... These are just perfect, adventurer. Thank you so much.
Concentric layers. Fire, air, water,
Let me sell some of this stuff.
King's honor, friend.
void, chemical, which contains nothing and cannot affect it. The soul, by nature rational and divine, can conceptually embrace this totality through logos. 3. Pancratium, culture. An ancient Greek combat sport that blended elements of wrestling and boxing, Pancratium was regarded as one of the most demanding tests of physical strength, skill, and endurance. With minimal rules and a focus on total bodily domination, it held a prominent place in both the Olympic and Pan-Hellenic Games, symbolizing
For the Alliance.
ideal of athletic excellence pushed to its limits. Except for virtue and its effects, Stoicism. If virtue is a true good, everything else, including wealth, pleasure, health, and reputation, belongs to the class of indifference, adiaphora. These should be mentally dissected to reveal their triviality. Virtue, however, requires no such analysis, as it is inherently worthy. 5. Literature. Sophocles, Oedipus Rex, 1391. A cry of anguish as Oedipus comes to the devastating realization of his true identity and fate. Kithiron, the mountain where he was abandoned as a newborn, becomes a powerful symbol of origin, destiny, and the inescapable unfolding of tragic truth. 6. If I end literature. Fragment 208, now from Euripides. This line conveys a yearning for something deeply desired, possibly accompanied by an awareness of its moral cost. In typical Euripidean fashion, the fragment captures the tension between human longing and ethical restraint, hinting at the emotional complexity and inner conflict that often characterize his tragic characters. 7. Do not grow. Literature. Fragment 287. Now, from Euripides. A comment on the futility of anger directed at circumstances or material things. The fragment urges emotional restraint and acceptance, recognizing that external conditions lie beyond our control, a sentiment later echoed in Stoic philosophy. 8. Reap life like literature. Fragment 757. Now, from Euripides.
Let's get that
A metaphor likening life to a harvest, suggesting that one should reap it only when the time is right. The image conveys themes of natural timing, maturity, and self-restraint.
Hello, where are you going? Well, if you're looking to get there quickly, then look no further.
On living in harmony
Have a good
with
one.
nature and accepting the proper course of events. 9. Diogenes. Biography. Diogenes of Sinope, 4th century BCE. A key figure in Cynic philosophy, God he famously promoted a life of radical simplicity, self-sufficiency, autarkia,
Trolling
and
Westfall.
defiance of social norms.
Well met.
10.
Ah, so my friend sent you here? How kind. Well, the Stormwind monarchy has abandoned our cause. Now it is up to the people's militia to keep the land free from corruption. If our cause interests you, I can put your combat skills to use in the name of freedom. The people's militia, the band Stormwind.
Got much to do here.
An analogy for ethical alienation. 11. Justice cannot be preserved. Stoicism. Justice depends on the harmonious exercise of the other primary virtues. Wisdom, recognizing indifference as neutral. Modesty, knowing one's proper limits.
The Defias front is constantly shifting. I've been following their movements for quite some time now. On a side note, I've ascertained that many members of the gang can...
Virtue that binds us to others. 12. Quiet your judgment. Stoicism. Disturbances arise not from things themselves, but from our judgments, hypolepsis, about them.
Where are you going? Well, if you're looking to get there quickly, then look no further.
Fantasii. The rational soul preserves its tranquility.
See you later.
Peace of mind
I'm gonna
depends
get a
on this
coffee.
inner
Enjoy
discipline,
the ride.
not on changing circumstances. 13. Phocion. Biography. Athenian general and statesman known for integrity and moderation. Executed in 318 BCE on charges of treason, later honored posthumously. A model of civic virtue and stoic endurance. 14. Rejoice in them, Stoicism. While indifference adiaphora are neither good nor bad, those that align with our rational nature, like health, education, or friendship, are considered preferred indifference, proigmena. The Stoic may rejoice in them modestamente, so long as they do not obscure the primacy of virtue. 15. Deprived of truth, literature. This idea recalls Plato, Republic 7.63. Our souls are depicted as lacking truth until turned toward it through philosophical understanding. Marcus echoes this Platonic image to suggest that ignorance is the natural state and that wisdom must be consciously cultivated. 16. Guilty of wrongdoing. Stoicism. Even those who act unjustly feel indignation when accused of vice, because the soul naturally strives toward its proper good. This reflects the Stoic doctrine of oikiosis, the innate moral orientation of rational beings toward virtue, even if obscured by ignorance or error. 17. Only what is shameful were evil. Stoicism. For the Stoics, only vice, a defect of character, is truly evil, because it depends entirely on our rational choice. Proheresis. What is shameful is so precisely because it stems from moral failure, which is always within our power to avoid. 8. Closer patience comes to impassivity. Stoicism. Patience that approaches impassivity, apathy, is a mark of inner strength. By mastering unnecessary passions, the rational soul conserves its energy for right action.
There are red-ridge knolls that close to Elwyn. They may be poised to advance into our homeland. Soon, we don't have...
19. Nusaitse mythology. An epithet of Apollo meaning leader of the muses. Nusaitse represents the god's role as a guide of artistic and intellectual inspiration. In this aspect, Apollo symbolizes harmony, order, and the unifying force of music, poetry, and knowledge. An ideal of balance between reason and creativity, deeply admired in both classical and Stoic thought. 20. Tend to rise upward.
This one might not be.
Stoicism.
I've been using so much iron keeping the Stormwind guards outfitted, I don't have enough to supply the stable's horses with shoes. Take this note to Blacksmith Argus in Goldshear. It explains to him my problem and requests a shipment of horseshoes.
Sustaining soul,
Not a bad
growth,
quest.
and cohesion. 21. Kept upright. Stoicism. Though earth and water naturally tend downward, they are sustained in equilibrium by the upward pull of fire and air. In Stoic physics, this tension among the four elements explains the structural stability of both living beings and the cosmos, which remains centered and coherent through their dynamic balance. 22.
Done?
So, Stoutmantle sent you? Well, I owe it. What I am about to tell you could cost me my life. The Defias gang is up to something big. Last I heard they were working in conjunction with various gnolls, kobolds, and even goblins. Take this note to Stoutmantle. It explains as much as I know on the subject.
Universal and divine in origin, which may transcend local written laws. While justice follows
The cooking quest is not in the kitchen. It's in another quest.
23. The Country Mouse. Literature. Reference to the well-known fable of Aesop, also adapted by Horace in Satires 2. 6,
I love
7,
Aesop's
9,
fables. I'm glad Marcus Aurelius also listened to
It
them.
contrasts the simplicity of rural life with the dangers of luxury and urban ambition.
You need a bouquet of flowers. You haven't been in town very long. Have you already found for yourself a sweetheart here? I know I shouldn't pry, but it's nice to see that love is in the air, especially in dangerous times like these. Here is your bouquet. Nothing would please me more than to make you some Red Ridge goulash. But there's a slight problem. During the recent...
Get her what she needs for
Rather than yielding to fear or sorrow, Socrates maintained his commitment to reason and virtue, embodying the philosophical ideal of equanimity in the most trying moments. 25.
People are asking me how I am
This is a
getting
mistaken reference
all
to
this awesome
Archelaus,
loot
the
through
illegitimate
these quests,
son of
and that is
Perdiccas II,
because it is
who
part of
amassed
the Death
wealth
Happens
from 413 to 399 BC.
leveling kit.
Though often confused with his
Happens is a
father,
great guild.
it is Archelaus who is mentioned in Plato's Gorgias, 470 D.
Good day to you.
Diogenes Laertes,
Oh, those are lovely. I can't wait to put them in some water.
example of
But
how
these are
tyranny
Marty's
is
favorite flowers.
judgment.
Parker didn't have you go to that
This
jealous
story
vixen.
illustrates the philosophical critique of unchecked power and its tendency to erode virtue. 26. In the writings, philosophy. See Epicurus, fragment 210. Euciner and Seneca, letters to Lucilius, 11:8. Both suggest that philosophical precepts alone are insufficient. Virtue requires inner transformation and practice. 27. Consider how Socrates, biography. This anecdote
Can I help
is
you?
preserved only by
Well
Marcus
done,
Aurelius.
adventurer. Such fine specimens, too.
Some
Here's your
goulash.
delicious delicacy known as Red Ridge goulash.
Though likely apocryphal, it echoes common tales of his domestic life with Xanthony. 28.
Let's get the
You
necklace.
were born,
And the messengers of Stormwind.
fragment 304. Now, from an unknown
Probably
tragic
lost
author
those.
and likely underscores a key theme in Greek tragedy: the human capacity for rational choice and moral responsibility. The lesson Marcus wants us to learn is that to act without reason, logos, is to become a slave to externals, ruled by impulse rather than by one's guiding principle.
Must not act without reason.
29. And my heart laughed. Literature. Homer Odyssey 9, 413. Describes the gruesome fate of one of Odysseus' companions. In the
These are trying times, adventurer. The township is under constant siege. Without reinforcements, we will certainly face defeat. The message I now entrust to you is of utmost importance. Get this report to General Marcus Jonathan of Stormwind immediately. Once you're delivered...
I'll take the message there.
reflects the effort required to attain virtue, a central theme in ancient ethics. 31. To seek a fig. Stoicism. Epictetus, Discourses 3, 24.86 to 87. The fig becomes a metaphor for desires that ignore the natural order or proper timing. The passage encourages self-restraint and acceptance of limits, key Stoic
Looking
virtues,
for a necklace.
reminding us that not everything we want is meant for the present moment, and wisdom lies
don't
in
wanna run
waiting
out of
without
breath.
frustration. 32. Perhaps tomorrow. Stoicism. Epictetus, Discourses 3, 24.8
And there it is.
8 to 89. A metaphor for life's natural end and the inevitability of death. The passage urges calm acceptance of mortality, a core Stoic teaching. To live each day fully prepared to depart without fear or complaint. 33. Unripe grapes. Stoicism. Epictetus, Discourses 3,
We got it.
24.9, 1 to 92. Refers to how perception colors our reaction to events, echoing Stoic doctrine of mental judgment. 34. No thief can
This is
steal.
actually rather physically impossible to move.
Epictetus, Discourses 3, 22.105, reaffirms a core Stoic principle, that our true possession is our inner moral purpose, prohairesis, which remains entirely within our control. External things, wealth, status, even the body, can be taken from us, but our capacity for reasoned choice and virtue is inviolable. In this, the Stoic finds unshakable freedom and security. 35. One must find Stoicism. Fragment 27. Schenkel, from Epictetus. This phrase expresses a key Stoic teaching, the importance of turning inward for guidance rather than depending
Oh,
on
I probably
external
shouldn't.
sources
I'm gonna
of
try
support.
it.
It encourages the individual to trust in their
Got some
own
stuff
rational
here.
faculty, the hegemonikon, as the true foundation of
I could
strength.
really use a hand here, adventurer. With the town under siege, it's been hard to get supplies. My tools were being delivered from Goldshire by wagon, but the bridge was blown out. We put the tools in a boat, but the orcs hit it with a catapult.
Reminds us that
Just
true
my luck.
ethical
My
effort
toolbox
was
sank
directed
right
not
to the
toward
bottom of the
external
lake.
things,
Retrieve my toolbox,
but
adventurer,
cultivation
and I'll make it worth your
of
while.
choice, our prohairesis. According to Stoic thought, the real battleground lies within, in how we judge, choose, and respond.
Oh no.
Everything else is secondary, beyond our control, and ultimately indifferent.
Nope.
37. What do you
It's
want?
not gonna happen.
Uncertain. Source unknown.
Not
Possibly from a lost tragic or philosophical. The phrase points to the roots of conflict and misunderstanding or misjudgment. Book 12. Conclusion and Reflections. Giovanni Battista Piranesi, Piramigi dici Cestio. The Pyramid of Cestius, a tomb for a man forgotten by history, mirrors Marcus's ultimate lesson. Death is not an end, but a note in nature's eternal
Oh, we might as well walk this way.
Everything you pray to achieve through a long detour, you can have right now, if you don't deny it to yourself. That is, if you let go of the past, entrust the future to providence, and focus solely on the present, guided by devotion and justice. Devotion, so you may love what has been given to you, for nature has assigned that to you, and you to it. Justice, so you may speak the truth freely and without evasion, and act in accordance with the law and the values at hand, unhindered by malice, opinion, the voices of others, or even the sensations of the flesh that cling to you. Let the part that suffers deal with its own concerns. Now, whenever your time comes to leave this life, and having abandoned everything else, you honor only your guiding principle and the divine within you. If you fear not the cessation of life, but rather the failure to live according to nature, then you will be a person worthy of the cosmos that created you. You will no longer be a stranger in your own land, nor marvel at daily events as though they were unexpected, nor hang suspended between this and that. 2. God sees all guiding principles stripped of their material containers, their husks and their impurities, for he touches with his intellect alone only what flows from him and extends to these guiding principles. If you too train yourself to do this, you will eliminate many distractions that pull you away from your true self. For surely, one who does not even see the wretched flesh that encloses him, will he waste his time on clothing, houses, reputation, or this varied stagecraft and all its trappings? 3. You are made up of 3 elements: body, breath, and intellect. Of these, the first 2 are yours only insofar as you must care for them. Only the third is truly your own. Therefore, if you separate from yourself, that is, from your mind,
Get the quest, then go
all
talk
that
to
others
Sarah.
do or say, all that you yourself have done or said, all that
We will
troubles you
roll
about
into
the
level
future,
16.
all that pertains to the body enclosing you, or the breath innate to
We'll
you,
go to Iron Forge and get
independent
the
of
Soul
your
of Iron
ethical
buff.
choice.
Call it a day.
If you set aside everything the external whirlwind tosses around, so that your intellectual faculty, freed from the external consequences of fate, remains pure, unbound, wholly autonomous, doing what is just, accepting events willingly, and speaking the truth. If, I say, you strip away from this guiding principle all that has accumulated through passions, along with every concern for the future or the past, and if you shape yourself into the perfect sphere of Empedocles, rejoicing in its self-contained solitude, if you strive to live only what you are living now, that is the present, you will pass the time that remains until death without disturbance, in serene peace, and in harmony with your inner divinity. 4. I have often wondered with astonishment why it is that everyone loves themselves more than anyone else, and yet in judging themselves, they value their own opinion less than that of others. For if a god or a wise teacher were to appear and command someone not to
The
simply
Stormwind
consider
army has
anything
placed
in
a
their
bounty
life
on
that they
Murloc
could not also
lurkers
express
and
aloud,
foragers in Elwyn.
they would not last
Slaughter
even a
them
single
and
day.
bring me their torn Murloc
To
fins,
such an extent
and the
do we
Stormwind
value
army
what
will
others think
reward
of
you
us
well.
than what we think of
The Murlocs
ourselves.
have built a village at Stone
How is
Cairn
it
Lake
that the
north of
gods,
here,
who have
and another
arranged
to the
everything
south
with
where the
wisdom
stream
for the
forks.
benefit of humankind, have overlooked just this one thing, that some men, truly exceptional individuals who have cultivated profound relationships with the divine through devout works and holy actions, should not be reborn after death, but instead are utterly extinguished? If things truly stood otherwise, rest assured that the gods would have seen to it. For if it were just, it would also be possible. And if it were in accordance with nature, nature would
You
have
need
brought it
something?
about.
Safe
precisely
travels.
because it is not so.
Ah, thank you for the marker. Please feel free to pick your choice of armor. Luck to you, brave adventurer. May this armor serve you well.
Pursuing this line of inquiry,
The Defias
you
gang in
end up putting the
Northshire
gods on
wears
trial.
burlap masks,
Yet
but the
on other
Defias in
hand, we could not
Elwyn wear
question
linen,
gods
which I
in
can
this
use
way
to make
unless they were
fine linen
infinitely
goods.
good and just.
Bring me red linen
This
bandanas,
is true,
and I'll
but
use
they
them
could
to
not have
fashion
reflected
something
any
for
want
you.
to,
interest or irrational
Defias gang members have camps pocketed throughout.
Too low.
Practice even in areas where you believe you cannot succeed. The left hand, though clumsy at most tasks due to lack of use, holds the reins more firmly than the right, because it has been trained to do so. 7. What the posture of body and soul should be at the moment of death, the brevity of life, the abyss of time that stretches behind and before us, the fragility of all matter. 8. Examine the causal elements stripped of their husks, the purpose of actions, what pain is, what pleasure is, what death is, what glory is, who is responsible for one's own unrest, how no one can be hindered by others. Everything is opinion. In principles, one should respect the craftiest, not the gladiator, for the gladiator lays down the roots of the sword and uses it. The craftiest always has his hand and needs only to clench it. 10. And purpose. 11. What power a person has to do nothing other than what the divine dictates, and to accept everything the divine assigns as consistent with nature. 12. One must not criticize the gods. They make no mistakes, neither voluntarily nor criticize humans, only involuntarily. Therefore, no one should be criticized. 13. Ridiculous and out of place is the person who marvels at anything that
I'm
happens
gonna
in
have to
life.
work on that. No one should be
14.
criticized.
Either an unyielding fate and an inviolable order,
Perhaps that's good
or a
advice.
compassionate providence that hears our prayers. Chaotic randomness without governance. Why resist it?
I just
If instead
criticize
there is a providence that accepts our petitions, strive to be worthy of divine assistance. And if there is a chaotic whirlwind, take comfort that within such turbulence you possess an intellect to guide you. Let it get off your flesh. Your intellect. Or does the it is extinguished without losing its brilliance? Truth, justice, and self-control within you fade before their time. 16. If someone gives you reason to think of their wrongdoing, reflect, how do I know if this is truly a wrongdoing? And if it is indeed wrong, they have condemned themselves through their own actions. That resembles someone scratching their own face with their own hand. A wicked person not to err is like expecting a fig tree not to produce sour fruit, or babies not to cry, or a horse not to neigh, and so on, for all such inevitable phenomena. What else should someone do? If you are so irritated, 17. If it is appropriate, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Always examine the behind your impression. Analyze it by breaking it down. Realize once and for all that in you there is something higher than the forces that drive creation and, ultimately, around like a puppet. What is my mind now? Is it not fear? Is it not suspicion? Is it not desire? Or something else of this kind? First principle. Act randomly or without
They should be
purpose. Second principle. Direct all your actions to 21. Before long, you will be nowhere. And none of the things you now see will exist, nor will any of those. It is the nature of all things to transform, so that without it, new things will arise. 22. Everything is opinion, and this depends. Whenever you wish, therefore, let go of your opinion, and like one who has rounded the headland, you will find calm seas, stillness of the elements. Any single action, whatever it may be, if it ends at the right time, is being finished. And the one who performed that likewise, the whole system of actions itself, if it ends at the appropriate time, suffers no harm from its conclusion. The one who brings this chain of actions to a time is not harmed by it. Every moment and bounded by nature, sometimes by individual nature, and old age, but always by universal nature. Through the transformation of its parts, the cosmos remains forever youthful and vibrant. Now, all that is useful to the universe is always beautiful and vibrant. Therefore, for the individual, the end of life is not an shameful, nor is it contrary to the good. It is a good, since it is beneficial, serving it and drawing benefit from it.
The drop rate is not
One who
great.
moves in harmony with God also aligns
Suppose
these three reflections close at hand. First, regarding your actions, consider whether they are done randomly or differently from how justice is acted. Regarding external events, remember that their origin lies either in chance or providence. You should neither complain about chance nor second, examine what each being is, from the moment it is conceived until it animates it, and from the moment it receives life until it surrenders. Consider also from what elements the compound is formed, to which elements it resembles. Third, if you were suddenly lifted into the sky and could look down upon human reality and its variety, you would despise it, seeing at once how vast the surrounding space is. Whenever you rose higher, you would always do the same things, their appearance ever unchanged, the brevity of their existence. And it is on these fleeting things that your humanity fixates. 25.
Inventory
Cast away
is
the opinion within you, and you are saved. Well then, who is stopping you from going outside? 26. Something you have forgotten that everything happens according to the nature of the universe. The fault lies with us, not with you. And further, that every event has always occurred this way, will occur this way, and is occurring this way everywhere. You have also forgotten how close the kinship is among all humans, not through shared blood or seed, but through shared intellect. And you have forgotten that the intellect of each person is divine and originates from above, that nothing belongs to anyone, but even a child, their frail body, and their fragile soul come from there. That everything is opinion, and that each of us lives only in the present, and loses only this. 27. Continually bring to mind those who burned with anger for some reason, those who lived at the peak of honors, misfortunes, enmities, or any other fate. Then consider where all of it is now. Smoke, ashes, legend, or not even legend. Let your thoughts also turn to similar
Greetings.
cases. For instance,
You have the Fins? Great. Marshal Dugan is anxious about the Murloc situation in Eastern Elwyn, and I'd like to tell him that it's becoming under control. Your actions have helped realize
in
that.
short, all situations where conflicts of interest flare up, whatever the stakes, with such arrogance. Reflect on how little these efforts are worth and how much more aligned philosophy it is, within the matter given to us, to show justice, self-control, readiness to obey the gods, and simplicity, because vanity hidden beneath a pretense of humility is the worst kind of all. 28. To those who ask, where have you seen the gods? How do you know they exist to revere them so deeply? Answer. First, they are visible even to our eyes. Second, I have never seen my own soul, yet I revere it. The same is true for the gods. I infer their existence from the fact that I constantly experience their power, and thus I revere them. 29. The salvation of our life lies in thoroughly examining what each thing consists of in itself, its material element, and its causal element, in doing what is just and speaking the truth with all our soul. What else is there, after all, but to find joy in living by linking one virtuous action to another, leaving no gap, however small, between them. 30. There is but one light of the sun, even though it is divided by walls, mountains, and countless other obstacles. There is but one common substance, even though it is divided among countless bodies distinguished by specific qualities. There is but one soul, even though it is divided among countless natures and individual beings. There is but one rational soul, even though it may seem fragmented. Now, the other parts of beings, such as individual breaths or material bodies, are insensible and alien to one another. Yet even these are held together by a unifying principle and the force that pulls them in the same direction. The mind, however, has the unique quality of being drawn to what is like itself and uniting with it. And this deep sense of kinship knows no obstacles. 31. What are you seeking? To prolong your existence? To feel sensations, experience impulses, grow, then decline, use your voice, think? Which of these seems worth desiring? And if each of these things is easily dismissible, push forward to the one thing that remains, to follow reason and the divine. But this choice conflicts with the attachment we have for the things listed above, and the distress we feel at losing them through death. 32. What tiny fraction of the infinite abyss of time has been allotted to each of us? In the blink of an eye, it vanishes into eternity. What tiny fraction of...
I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy right now making horseshoes for Werner Osgood in Lakeshire. Yeah, so old Werner needs some shoes, does he? Okay, I'll give him his 50 horseshoes. Here they are, all boxed up and ready to go. Tell Werner it was a pleasure doing business, and be sure he reads the note attached to this crate.
Use does the guiding principle make of itself? That is the whole issue. The rest is either a consequence of this fundamental choice, or irrelevant, mere corpse and smoke. 34. The strongest incentive to despise death.
See you around.
To regard pleasure as a good and pain as an evil, have come to scorn it. 35. If for a person only what happens at the right moment is good, if it makes no difference to him whether he performs more or fewer actions in accordance with right reason,
Stormwind and turn in
if
that
it is
message.
indifferent to him whether he gazes upon the universe for a longer or shorter time, and even death holds no fear for such a person. 36. Man, you have been a citizen of this great city. What does it matter whether for 5 years or 100? What is in accordance with the laws has equal value for all. So what is grievous if nature, who brought you in, now expels you? Not a tyrant or an unjust judge, but nature herself. It is like when the praetor who hired an actor dismisses him from the stage. But I haven't performed all 5 acts, only 3. Exactly. Yet in life, 3 acts make a complete drama. For it is the one who composed it at the start who now dissolves it. And you are responsible neither for its composition nor its dissolution.
Close.
So depart in peace. The one dismissing you is at peace. 1. What has been given to you. Stoicism. Acceptance of what has been given is both duty and devotion. Since the gods assign our faith through divine logos, to love it is an act of reverence. Eusebia. Here, Marcus combines key Stoic themes, faith, virtue, and piety, and a final
Faith,
affirmation
virtue,
of serenity
and
before
piety.
death. Rejoicing in its self-contained solitude, literature, fragments 27 to 28, those gods, refers to the primordial perfect unity of the cosmos before division, an image of harmony and completeness, often used metaphorically in philosophical contexts. 3. If things truly stood otherwise, Stoicism.
Light be with you.
Marcus alludes
At
to
ease, adventurer. Magistrate Solomon is a noble leader. His words carry great weight with me. I shall seek the counsel of the king and make the situation clear to him. Assure the good judge that he has the Stormwind Army's support. Reinforcements will be sent as soon as word is given from His Majesty. While I wait for a response from the king, I want you to carry the...
reincarnation, which the Stoics rejected. 4. Left hand. Culture. In society, handedness with the
Yeah.
The Latin sinister reflects this
Plenty.
bias.
Strength.
Yet Instead, through habitual practice,
Blow on
even the
into
left hand can master specific tasks, as the word prays while writing.
We're gonna put 5 and 5 here in the consecration.
Self-discipline.
And then we're either gonna go
Virtue
protection or
arises from
retribution.
training, not from natural ease. 5. Either an
I don't know.
unyielding faith. Philosophy. Marcus outlines 3 worldviews. 1. Unyielding faith. Army and rational order. More to Stoicism. 2. Providential gods who respond to prayer. Typical popular religion. 3. Chaotic randomness. The animistic view of experience. This reflection affirms the Stoic belief in the cosmos removing necessity and weakness. 6. Providence that accepts our petitions. Stoicism. Although Marcus entertains the idea of
All of this is
existence,
order.
he rejects the notion of changing one's fate. In Stoicism, prayer is not about altering destiny, but about reinforcing virtue and aligning the soul with logos. The gods assist
There
not
he
by
is.
granting favors, but by empowering reasoned effort. 7. Everything is opinion.
Can I assist you?
Philosophy. A saying attributed to Monimus of Syracuse, a cynic philosopher who questioned the reliability of
All right.
appearances.
Thank you for joining us for episode, I guess, 12 of
Till next we
TeflonStoic's
meet.
journey through hardcore WoW, about Stoic philosophy and virtue. Have a good day.